Good morning, everybody. I'm going to ring the bell, and maybe we'll just start our Sunday service. What do you think?
Yay.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. So my name is Sally Wantz. I welcome you here today. We begin this morning by recognizing the first people of this area, the Siuslaw Indians. Foof is grateful for their careful stewardship of the land and the water, and we honor the tribe by giving thanks to their families, past, present, and future generations. So if you will, please rise. We're going to start our service like we do by singing hymn number 123. It's in your hymnal. If you know the lyrics or you know the music, the words are on the program, okay? So otherwise, open it up and let's sing Spirit of Life. To turn off your cell phones, or Jay, who is our cameraman, will not be happy. I want Jay to be happy. And do we have anybody here for the first time? I'm looking around. Renee is back. Amy's back. Yay. Okay, how about Becky? How about Becky? And who's going to introduce Becky?
I will.
Okay.
This is Becky. This is my mom. She's visiting for several weeks from North Georgia.
Hi.
Don't hold it against her that she's from Georgia. She's one of the good ones.
She's one of the good ones. Well, I had the pleasure of meeting Becky last night, but do you want to say anything to this particular group?
Well, I'm just excited to be here. I'm not a religious person.
Neither are we.
That's true, so I'm glad to be here. I can do your thing.
Well, we're glad you're here too, and we have a gift for you that we give to all of our first-time guests. Not religious. This is a book called Windows to the Light, filled with haiku meditations. And it was published and written by a woman who used to live here, who passed away recently. She left us with several hundred copies. So we give those out as a thank you for being here today. And if anybody else wants one of those books, I mean, they're in the library in the cupboard. So if you have a friend that you would like to give one to, go into the library and help yourself, okay? So don't just keep it to yourself. Share the words. So, okay, I want you to turn to the person behind you or in front of you or next to you and just say good morning. If you haven't said hello, introduce yourself, say hello. Very good. I also want to send thanks to Sandra, who's at the back there and greeted everybody this morning. Did you get a nice warm greeting from Sandra? So after service today, Dean, who is our guest at the pulpit today, first Sundays every month, will be in our library, which is in the back there. We can continue to have a conversation about his message today and share your thoughts about that. As well, Catherine will be in our side room offering affirmative prayer to anyone who wants that. A nice private moment with the Catherine Hemmons. We love her. Raise your hand, Catherine, so everybody knows who you are. Everyone knows who I am already. Okay. And remember to remain fully masked while you're with us today so we can continue to keep ourselves protected, especially for those who aren't here today, and if you come in touch with them, just let them know that we're doing the best we can to provide a nice, safe atmosphere for anyone who walks through our door, okay? Are there any announcements? We're going to go to joys and concerns shortly, but are there any announcements to make? I know Mark has his April 3rd event coming up, and you'll see more of that in the weekly newsletter, talking about that event. Is that the one where you've got the 10 panelists?
Yeah, well, I have clergy and other people representing different spiritual organizations.
I got one person almost got them at the Home and Garden Show this weekend who was a little nervous about speaking in front. But I said to her, I think, Nancy, you could probably do a good job just talking about your passion for recycling and the environment. So
oh, yeah.
You may get Nancy, okay?
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks for the heads up.
Thank you. Jay's got a message.
Yeah, the City Lights, today at 4 o'clock, there's a pre-showing of, I don't think it's a showing, I think it's actually live interaction
I think so.
with somebody from the UN, I think is what it's from, but I'm not sure, but it's on Putin's war.
It's Professor Mel Grotov, is the emeritus professor from Portland University, and he's doing a Q&A.
So he's here in person at City Lights.
Yes, he lives in Deadwood.
Okay, but you need to get tickets, and tickets might be going fast. So if you show up and they say we're sold out, then bad on you.
Yeah.
4 o'clock, City Lights, and let's have a conversation. Ashley, yes?
And you can order them online, they're free, it's just $1 processing fee if you want to lock your ticket down.
So 4 p.m. at City Lights. We love City Lights, right?
Yes.
So next time you go, make sure you buy the popcorn, make sure you get one of their beers, not the beer I like, because I want the beer when I go there. And you get a little spritz of sparkling wine. I love that. In a beer mug? Perfect. It won't spill as you're on the way to the seating. Okay, is this an advertisement for City Lights?
They need to hire you.
I know. Well, let's face it. Who knew about that theater before Michael and Susan took over? It was horrendous. The guy was just like, these people, we got to continue to support City Lights. And we have to continue to support FOOF, right?
Right.
Okay, got it. So we're going to go into the chalice lighting now that I'm done, I think. And this, we're going to light this flame as an act of faith in challenging times like these, and in honor of those who are suffering, the Ukrainians, and for sure, the Russian people. And this is not just a one-way street. Our hearts go out to these folks. So this comes from Reverend Scott Taylor. We come with our doubts, worn out and worn down, wanting, once again, to trust, to believe that hope is not as fragile as it sometimes seems, that division is not as deep as it sometimes appears. And so we light this flame as an act of faith, a reminder, a re-declaration, a rekindling of the trust that darkness can't ever shut out the light, that kindness is more powerful than we know, that humility and accountability allows us to change, that together we can most certainly bend the arc of this beautiful universe towards justice. Blessed be.
Blessed be.
Whew. Okay. I invite Catherine to come forward. We have an opportunity to share our joys and concerns. I'll help drop some shells, and she'll bring her glasses.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
As Sally said, this is the time for our joys and concerns, what we wish to share with each other, to get all of the support that we need, or just to share our joy. I mean, we need to have all the joy.
And it's okay to be joyful.
Oh, absolutely, to balance out everything else that's going on. So most of you know how you line up over here. Sally will hand you the microphone, and either she or you yourself can drop the shell into the cleansing water.
Anybody want to come? Ron, you want back there? Testing the microphone?
Yes, and if you don't want to come up, Sally will bring you the microphone.
Please hold it right to your mask.
Hi, last weekend I was in Portland. My grandson Jack was playing, his team was playing in the city finals.
Of what sport? Sport?
Basketball.
Basketball?
And they were undefeated during the season, and they remained that way. They won the championship. That was such a joy. I am still smiling.
Great.
The concern I have is they have a new administrator running all the basketball teams for the schools. And the parents have been on his back to get paperwork in to get to the state finals. He never did it. So these kids worked so hard all year, and they got the shaft on getting there,
Oh,
which is it's a shame.
yes, yes.
I can just see. How old? Is this Jack?
Yeah,
How old is he?
Jack is 12, he'll be 13 this summer.
12 and 13. Oh my God, pre-teenager. Oh. Anybody else? Hey.
Why don't you throw a couple shells for
Yes, I'm
Jack?
going to.
Mhm.
Come.
So I'm not quite sure if it's a joy or a concern, and I think it's both. An hour ago, I was on a Zoom call with my friend in Cape Town, who has a community of light workers all over the world. And she also works with, she's Russian speaking, and she also works with Russia and Ukraine. And so on today's call, and this is really echoing what you were talking about, Sally, is you know how on Zoom you look at all the faces and the names? Well, more than half of them were Russian or Ukrainian names. Oh, that was such a powerful image, to be gathered in community, you know, from all over the world, and to be meditating and praying and calling in the light together. And so I felt, I wept, I think many of us wept, just to see that deep connection that we as human beings feel. And my sense that the whole world is rising and opening their hearts in the middle of this really devastating attack on our peace and well-being. And it just gave us the courage. It was a support for all of us to stay, exactly what you were saying, in the light and hold the light, because the light, in fact, is what it's about. So I wanted to share that precious moment I had this
Thank you.
morning.
Thank you.
Yes, I do.
Thank you. And Deb Larson, make sure you see the back of her jacket.
The front too.
Hi, well, I'm Connie, and thank you. Thank you for sharing that. It's so good to know that Russians and Ukrainians have a voice that's reaching out into the world, and that, and bringing some news of their. It's wonderful to see how they're all joining together. And then I just returned from Texas, the other country. The other country in the USA. Yeah. Anyhow, there's a possibility. I went down to visit my middle daughter and her husband, and I had asked like a couple of months, 6 months, weeks ago, that he had had COVID and was in the hospital, and he had asked for prayer. And while I was down there, he went back to work. He's driving big rigs. And he's still having, his wife said, my daughter said that she sees a lot of forgetfulness, you know, and everything. And his brain is still feeling the effects from COVID. Yeah, but she's hoping him. But he's doing just terrific, so thank you for supporting him. And his name's Matt, and we continue to see him getting better. And I'm not moving down there right now.
Well, thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Stay right there.
Yeah, and yeah, that's, I feel, you know, that this is, at this time, this is where I am to be now. We'll just see how that unfolds in the future. But today I am here, and thank you for being here too. So I just want to share about my family.
You want to drop a couple of shells that way?
Thank you.
shell.
Message from the universe.
That's quite an affirmation.
Yeah.
It's on. Right up to your head.
So, do I look like I've been through a fight?
Yeah.
And does it look like,
Battery going out.
and does it look like the other person might have won? Well, it wasn't actually a fight. I had surgery on Wednesday to remove a squamous cell carcinoma from my left temple. And the current way of doing that is called MOHN surgery. Take off one layer, analyze it, and they go as deep as they need to go. I passed in 2 layers. So
Yes.
I'm now cancer-free.
Yes.
And the moral to the story is, wear those broad brim hats and use that sunscreen.
Now, a couple shows. The hats and the sunscreen.
Anyone else? Okay, I'd like to finish with this, bringing the world condition back to the personal and relationships. And I also like to pick out books that I've read before, in my bookshelf to see how I've changed and in reading them again. And this is from Greg Braden. From my perspective, we are only capable of only spiritual activity. Without exception, I believe that each life, every death, all the hurt, all the joy, and everything in between brings us closer. Our relationships are not separate from our spiritual evolution. Our relationships are our spiritual evolution. Each relationship is like a temple where we develop a prayer to the other person in the way that we treat them. And it's an opportunity to reflect on what we need to develop by seeing how we treat them. Our relationships demonstrate to us our true nature. The fallacy of darkness, fear, and hate are exposed within us. Once healed, all that is left is compassion. And I realized down here I forgot a couple things, so I'm going to circle around before I blessed be all of us. There is a woman, now maybe you can help me, a woman called Dolores who used to come here. She lives in Green Trees, and she just passed. Does anyone know her name? She'd be an old timer.
I don't know her last name, but I
It's
think
Dolores Morgan.
Dolores Morgan?
Morgan.
Is that it, Fred?
Yes.
That's it, Dolores Morgan. Okay, thank you very much.
There's a memorial service for her at 1 o'clock next Saturday at the Green Trees Clubhouse, if anyone is interested.
Okay, thank you very much.
Something else about Lois?
Yeah, great,
Thank
great.
you.
And I have, well, it's a joy. Deborah Larson and I are looking for the perfect match. A healing partner for Marcia Phillips. A friendly, docile, short-haired kitty, probably older, that can, help with her recovery and she can give a loving home to.
You're looking for a cat,
Yes.
not a kitty.
No, a cat. Yeah, I call them all kitties, so. And so it is. Thank you.
What about everybody else?
Ah, yes.
He's forgetting everybody else.
The last shell, the final shell, for all those we don't know about, all those who sit home and they just can't quite make it out the door for whatever reason, and all those anywhere in the world who are thinking about us and bursting with joy because they can't wait to get back to us. Blessed be.
That's great. I have a lot of joys and concerns. Wow, what's next? Jeff has selected a nice opening hymn for us, and it is number 20. Is that right? It's called Be Thou My Vision. I ask that you rise as you are able, and we're going to sing this. Jeff, are you going to hit the opening words for us so we'll know when to start?
I don't know what they are, so.
I know the song, Joe.
Do you know, you're going to play the music though,
How many
right?
verses are there?
I know.
Three.
Three? Okay.
Yeah, pretty short.
Who knows this song?
I do.
Well then, stand up and sing it with us. forward. We have a reading that he'll share with you from the Course in Miracles. It's the preface, page X, if you have that book. He will share the reading and then introduce Dean.
Hear but the voice of Spirit. He will direct your efforts, telling you exactly what to do, how to direct your mind, and when to come to him in silence, asking for his sure direction and his certain word. Now we have Dean from the north. I think you all know Dean.
From the north. Is that Nanook of the north? Get out of the way.
I'm so glad to get out of this. Jeff, that was wonderful. And Catherine, just so much that you guys do and say. It is such a special opportunity for me and for all of us to gather the way we do here. And our collective energy and thoughts and compassion. Maggie, beautiful. That image of the Ukrainians and the Russians and others sitting as human beings together. Thank you. But I want to repeat, the words are so special, Sally. You mentioned from the song we just sang, "Be thou my vision, O God of my heart, not be all else to me, save that thou art. I ever with thee, and thou with me, God." This is such an important message to me, which I'll elaborate on in my talk today. I need to stand for the mic. Sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you.
There you go.
Anyhow, so I'm going to read quite a bit. I don't like doing this, but there was so much information I researched and found to include, and there's no way I could just remember and talk about it. So forgive that part, and then I'll get into some other personal messages. So the talk today is entitled Divine Revelation, Dreams, and Channeling. I've wanted to talk about channeling actually for a long time. Chances are you know that I've referenced it, mentioned it many times, and I have a tremendous experience in doing this, working with it for a long time. I'll explain a little later more in detail about what channeling is, but I was exposed to it back in the 70s, so for more than 50 years now. I've been a great student and very curious on working with people who channel, and I so greatly value a good channel. Every culture in recorded history has used divine revelation and dreams for spiritual guidance. Indeed, this is the source of many of the world's religions. The Arabic prophet Muhammad was given spiritual insights by the angel Gabriel. Most of this guidance in founding the religion of Mohammedanism and the content of the Quran, was revealed to him through his dreams. Joseph Smith was ordained a prophet based on revelation from an angel, which became the Book of Mormon and the foundation of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in 1830. The Buddha's birth was announced to his mother, Queen Maza, in a dream, where it was foretold that he would become a spiritual leader. And the birth of Jesus was similarly announced to his mother, Mary. And I like saying this as a way to remind us all that, and I guess maybe because of my scientific training, we're so reluctant, or I have been, to accept the idea that dreams could have such valid and important content versus relying on research and what we largely rely on in all of our formal education. So I hope this is a reminder and gives a bigger perspective to you as well, that we can go within and know that we can get such valuable guidance and wisdom from within. And even when I think about, and I was thinking about surely more this week, because of this opportunity I've had to talk with wisdom teachers through these channeled messages, and really coming to think about how, this is for me, I'm talking now about, does it really matter that we're talking to Jesus or Mary or Joseph? or Muhammad or Buddha. As far as I can determine, there is simply a wisdom channel. There is a frequency that everyone can tune into. Whether, again, you want to identify it as a particular spiritual figure, and I like somebody's comment about, she's not religious. Well, I'm trained as a psychologist, and maybe you might think more like a philosopher than a psychologist sometimes. But I'm not religious. But I know without reservation, there is a wisdom that lies within us so that we can access at any time for any reason. And I certainly encourage you to do this at a time like this, where now we're dealing with the Ukrainians and Russians or whatever, the pandemic, craziness in our political system, healthcare system, God knows. These are special times for which we can all learn and grow through and contribute to in a very positive way. Ancient wisdom proposes that life's purpose is realizing the enduring connection to a greater whole or oneness with God. Humans throughout history knew of this connection through personal mystical, peak, or transcendent experiences. This included mediumship or trance communication with a God such as practiced by the biblical prophets Jeremiah, Isaiah, and Micah. This deep sense of belonging of the individual to spirit has been told by prophets throughout the ages. Dreams, visions, trance, prophecy, oracle, revelation, spirit communication, and inspiration of the muses were valued to such a degree that there was no urgent need to distinguish one from the other. The 14th to the 16th centuries were the Renaissance period of thought and reason, and initiated the use of scientific method to determine truth. Religious beliefs, which are the realm of faith, were going to be challenged by objectively measured fact. As the nature of the universe and the physical body came to be viewed as mechanistic, the use of intuitive means for spiritual guidance and spiritual questions such as life having meaning and purpose came under scientific scrutiny. And so this raises for me, and perhaps for you, how do we know what's true? And in my experience, and I've written and spoken about this before, largely we rely on our direct life experience, which is not a bad idea. But you understand, as I tend to say with a bit of sense of humor, this is how fish stories get told. So we first catch the fish. So there's a very subjective element to our personal experience and the recall of that particular experience. So then we look to perhaps our collective experience in agreement, such as we would do in a jury system. But I don't think I need to tell you how that also can be very flawed. And so if anything, you think I might be making a case for science. We try to remove all of these subjective factors. But unfortunately, in that process, we tend to overlook the spiritual guidance and questions, such as life having meaning and purpose, which we're unable to do really through scientific scrutiny. Enter the world of science where everything must be objectively measured, and while science can't answer these great questions, such as the purpose of life, the study of quantum physics appears to have given science to religious and spiritual beliefs. You've heard me say this before, but I want to remind you. Quantum physics has determined that there is an infinite sea of energy that underlies and connects all of physical reality. Theoretical physicist Dr. David Bohm proposes that underlying all of these energy fields is a primary reality, which is a source of all other realities. He believes that through meditation or contemplation, the brain becomes quiet and sympathetic with the underlying universal frequency pattern, the Western channel. This allows a new means to perceive reality and an alternate way of knowing. Dr. Bohm, along with the Indian sage Krishnamurti, believe that enlightenment is the channeling of the universal force to operate through us. This wholeness, which links the entire universe, is a force of compassion and an active concern for all of creation. This is who we are at the deepest level. They concluded that, in short, the energy itself is love. The ultimate nature of the universe is an energy of love. This conclusion fascinates me for numbers of reasons. People commonly think of God as love, that love is the answer to all of our concerns, and no matter what the situation, God is always present and available for guidance and support. We are always loved and cared for by an omniscient, omnipotent, and omnipresent source of life, whatever we may choose to call it. The Bible claims, ask and it will be given you. Seek and you will find. Knock and it will be opened to you. That's Luke chapter 11, verse 9. Indeed, most people use prayer for insight and guidance. In fact, prayer is the most important part of the daily life of about 75% of Americans. About 60% report that faith is the most important influence in their lives. And I love saying what I'm about to tell you now. An interesting statistic, therefore, is that if you don't pray, you're not normal. Definitions of faith, knowing, knowledge, truth, and trust commonly include considerations of one's beliefs, confidence, certainty, conviction, and enlightenment. The Greek root meaning of faith is trust. What are your deepest beliefs, convictions, and expectations? Unfortunately, I've found that many people have deep beliefs of feeling powerless, hopeless, and unworthy. These beliefs keep them from having faith and knowing the truth of who we are. All religions, and I've told you before to my great surprise, believe that we are one with God and all that is. This also is a conclusion of quantum physics. The last thing we are is not good enough or undeserving. We are God manifesting in form. We are one with the source of all of creation. Let's not ever forget that, but certainly now in our time of great concern about so many things. I've discovered that perhaps above all else we're looking for peace of mind, and that our faith or belief or trust or assurance is that this faith is an ultimate source of inner and outer peace. God is. Love is. Grace is. We just have to open to it and allow it. I have extensive personal and professional experience and knowledge about meditation, channeling, and inner guidance. Interestingly, I'm currently writing a new book. Your life comes with instructions. I was encouraged to write this through a channeled communication. I was to direct the reader inside, to look within. All of the information we could ever want or need was already within us. Additionally, I was asked to let my greater being be the source of what I wrote. No science, no research. The content is all from my dreams, meditations, or channeled information. And so this is what I call the wisdom channel, that we can tune into at any time for guidance and support. I know that God, or our greater being, higher self, speaks to everyone all the time. What do you believe? And are you willing to listen? The theme for this month is actually renewing faith. So, what do you have faith in? In preparing for this presentation, it was suggested that you consider having faith in the rightness of spiritual guidance. As objective as this might sound, this rightness simply feels right. Indeed, the way I define intuition and the way to get insight requires only two things, really: your openness and your intention, and practice. People, because I lead the meditation class once a month, and I've been teaching this for so long, it's often that I encounter people expressing some frustration with meditating, and even then, how do I know what I get is right or true? How do you get to Carnegie Hall? Practice. 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 So indeed, I encourage you to join us the first Tuesday of each month at 5:15 for our Zoom meditation class. And also in my monthly newsletter that there is always a recording of this month's presentation, as a written article and summary of what I just said today, and also a podcast of a new chapter from my book each month. So I hope that also you can use that as a source of inspiration and guidance. And I wanted to mention, I appreciate Catherine saying today and reading Greg Braden's comments about the truth of who we really are. It's so important, I think, to be reminded in so many ways of that. But in preparing this talk today in particular, there's a wonderful book titled With the Tongues of Men and Angels. I'm sure many of you are familiar with the Institute of Noetic Sciences. Well, when I was much younger and going through graduate school, I first became aware of this tremendous group and their study of consciousness, and took researching the subject very seriously. And each year when you would renew your membership, they would give a book away, which I always look forward to. And this was actually the book that year that they gave away for renewing your membership. And it's subtitled A Study of Channeling. So if any of you are really serious about a wonderful overview of channeling, I highly recommend it. It's again, With the Tongues of Men and Angels, A Study of Channeling by Arthur Hastings. And I'll be glad to give you that information again later for any of you who are interested. But in rereading this book to prepare for today, I was inspired by so many of the things I read, but this one in particular I wanted to share with you because it brought up a lot of stuff because of my work with health and healing and cancer specifically. So in the book titled Health, Hope, and Healing, here's what the author said. A voice, not external, but not quite internal either, began to speak to me. The voice was clear and calm and spoke with absolute authority. It told me that if I wanted to be cured, I would have to know that I was already well. And then I would find the means of survival. I tried to explain to the voice that I hadn't received the chemotherapy yet, that I couldn't possibly be cured now. But it insisted, you must know that you are cured now. That kind of trust, that kind of knowing doesn't come easy. But I so celebrate you and what you do in your gathering here and the things you do in the community for making that so special and clear. And I don't want to overdo my time here, but I did bring a number of, I just grabbed some off the shelf in my library today. And if you know me, you know I could never have not talked about conversations with God, talked about channeled information that I find so extremely meaningful and helpful. Many of these books are available in the library, thank you. This one, I happen to know the author, actually the person who brought this through, Channeling Jesus, titled Christ Returns, Reveals Startling Truth. And this book really stood out for me at one point in my life, and I can strongly encourage it as well. It might not be as easy to find, but I'll be glad to help you with that if you're interested. I've told you about this one before, Voices of Love from the Light. I happen to know this channeler also, can really speak for the truth and the wisdom and inspiration of this. And of course, I know this author. I actually, this goes back quite a while now, but 2 chapters of my book, Doctor's Orders Go Fishing, are directly about intuition and how you can tap into your own inner guidance. And then I go into a much greater depth in my book, Why Love Heals, and share a lot of channeled helpful information there. I want to just make brief mention of dreams, because I'm really using my dreams so much now because of writing my book. But what Shelley, my wife, and I have done for a long time, and continue to do, and I'm so pleased we do, is that every morning when we wake up, we lie in bed and ask each other what our dreams were. It is really fun to do. We don't always understand them, but what I do know in my experience is that if you were to go to bed with a question on your mind and ask that question to be answered, there is no question in my experience you will get the answer. Now, one way to get over this idea of how do I know what is true, what is it really saying, is to ask the same question every day for a week. And within that week, you will almost certainly, in my experience, be given an answer on any subject whatsoever. And so then wrapping up, God bless Ruth Miller and others who are so familiar as Anna with the Course in Miracles and the wisdom that's come through. But talk about another just very special channeled information and guidance we can get from so many books and sources, especially from channeled messages. And I happen to know Carl Jung because of my psychology background in his book Memories, Dreams, and Reflections, and how he personally says that he had his own wisdom figures that advised him, and he referred to it as something beyond the ego, a greater self and collective unconscious or higher self there to guide us. And then a note, everyone has guardian angels who provide guidance and assistance. As I understand it, every one of us in the pre-existence and then when we come in is given indeed a guardian angel or angels who are with you all the time. You can access that. Again, whether you identify with the angelic realm or any spiritual figure, that wisdom is there to tap into. So then, I keep going on, I hope you don't mind, I really get into this. But one of the things that really made sense to me today in terms of looking within and what is your message, I've told you before that I believe symptoms are actually benevolent messengers. Their way is to get our attention, to let us know something is out of balance in our life. So when reflecting on Ukraine and Russia situation, I asked myself, and I would ask you to think about this. What is the message of war? Think of it as a benevolent symptom, if that's possible. What is the message of war? And then to remind you, this is my personal suggestion, it is so easy to get distracted by so much going on in our lives and getting distracted or worn down by this current war situation or God knows what. And if you can, as a way to help you refocus, I recommend you say 2 things, very simply. Love prevails. Peace prevails. So as best you can, when you're focusing on something not going the way you'd like, easy to do, remember your thought creates, bring it back to love prevails. Peace prevails. Okay, and I'm just going to stop. I'm sorry, I would like to say more, but so now we'll do a guided meditation. I'm going to do one more thing I can't resist. I draw angel cards every day. I don't know if any of you do that. Doreen Virtue has a very popular deck. And I have a special personal friend who's psychic who has a deck and gave it to me as a gift. Anyhow, my message for my Shelley Wilson cards, this is the card I drew today. Ready? Speak your truth. Communicate clearly. And this is my message for the week. Meditation. Okay, here we go. Please make yourself comfortable. And close your eyes as a way to help you focus. And to start today, as a way of helping you focus, please simply repeat to yourself, love prevails. Peace prevails. Love prevails. Peace prevails. Today's guided meditation comes from Conversation, Book 1. Conversations with God, Book 1. How does God talk, and to whom? I talk to everyone, all the time. The question is not to whom do I talk, but who listens. My most common form of communication is through feeling. Feeling is the language of the soul. If you want to know what's true for you about something, look to how you're feeling about it. Hidden in your deepest feelings is your highest truth. The challenge is one of discernment. The difficulty is knowing the difference between messages from God and data from other sources. Discrimination is a simple matter with the application of a basic rule. Mine is always your highest thought, your clearest word, your grandest feeling. Anything less is from another source. The highest thought is always that thought which contains joy. The clearest words are those which contain truth. The grandest feeling is that which you call love. Joy, truth, love. These are interchangeable, and one always leads to the other. The question is whether my message will be heeded. Are you willing to actually listen? If you will please now take your time and ask for guidance. How can I renew my faith?
That leaves me in a very special place. Also reminds me that the other day, it may not look it, or maybe it does, I got my hair cut. But I started to get into a heated discussion with my stylist about the war. And what you just shared, Dean, reminds me that you don't have to get into a heated discussion. You can reframe it. And I should have said to him at the time, and maybe I will the next time, I don't want to debate this. I just want to be with the feelings I have for the people of Russia and Ukraine, regardless of who's to blame and regardless of who started it. And you just helped me remind myself about that particular place to be. Peace and love. Thank you. Wow. Okay. Everybody back to eyes forward? Thank you. So today we have, we start our new offering for our new community partner, right, Tuvia? We have a community partner who is the Florence Food Share. Now, yay, Ashley's volunteered Florence Food Share. Anybody else volunteer for Food Share or have volunteered for Food Share? Jay, we've got Ron. Ron is a former board member of Food Share. And Pam in the back. I've worked over there at some points in time. This is an organization that raises consciousness about people who are food deprived. They've got a garden in the back where they can grow fresh produce when the season comes. And they help those who can't help themselves in the moment by providing fresh food for their dogs, food for themselves. And volunteers who usher these guests through their pantry to take home what they need. Is there anything else you want to share about Food Share, Tuvia? He's our point person.
The tougher times get, the more those in need become needy.
Yeah.
They can't hear. This week in the blast, there's going to be some information encouraging you to drop off food items in the boxes that are placed by Food Share all around the town. So if you have an extra can of something, a little something that you don't think you're going to need, cumulatively it can make a big difference. Let's all get behind Food Share, and the money that you put in the basket today helps with all the expenses they have to make food available for those who are really hungry.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for that reminder, Tuvia. There are food baskets around. We used to have one here at FOOF years ago, but since the pandemic we haven't. We may reinstitute it and put back a basket somewhere. We'll check with the powers that be to see if we can do that. And you can bring your food here and drop it in our basket. So we also have an offering today for our fellowship, right? So this is an opportunity to share your wealth, if you will, and help us keep our doors open for those who want what you're experiencing today. And I'm going to pass this basket around. And, I ask that you take a look at the basket. If you're able to give, great. There's two places. We have one that says Sayusla Outreach Services, which is wrong. It should say Food Share. But this is our offering for our community partner, and this goes to the Florence Church, right here. I'm going to ask Catherine if she'd help pass on that side, and Tuvia if you'd help on that side. Also want to make sure that you know if you're unable to make a contribution today, that's fine. Just receive this basket with love and pass it to the next person with love. And that's a great gift as well, right? So before we begin, I want to ask that you repeat after me this special blessing. If I can get to the page, turn the page. If you repeat after me that divine love through me, blesses and multiplies all that I am,
Blesses and multiplies all that I am,
all that I give,
all that I give,
and all that I receive.
and all that I receive.
I am prosperous now, blessed be.
I am prosperous now, blessed be.
So as this goes around, Jeff's going to play some lovely music, so thank you. So we thank you most sincerely for your spiritual practice of giving. These gifts are received in grateful appreciation. Also, I'm reminded you'll see a bottle of wine on our fireplace up here. Yes, it's trying to stay warm. We have bottles of wine to sell. It's a fundraiser. These bottles, they're lovely wines, sell for $26 a bottle. There's more in the case over there. You can see Deborah Jordan. Put your hand up. I mean, Deborah, what's your name again? Yeah. Jordan. Yeah. I got too many Deborahs and Catherines, I get them all mixed up. Anyway, yes?
The ones in the case are only $20 each.
The ones in the case are the $20. Okay, this is the only $26. Going once, going twice, going 3 times. Thank you, and thank you for that. What a great day, huh? It's a great day. So Catherine, would you like to come forward and extinguish our flame? As I offer these closing words by Steve Garnas Holmes. Beware the faith that does not trouble the world. Beware of the false prophets who judge the world but leave the powerful in their places. The love of power is always frightened at the power of love. Know this and stay faithful. Blessed be. So if you're new here for the first time, what we do now is we gather around our chairs in a big circle. We sing our peace song. The words are on the back of the program. If you'd like to hold hands, please do so, but be respectful to those who might not want to. Allow them to just rest their arms at their side. If you don't want to sing, then watch me and laugh, okay? This is our time to honor peace in the world. And as we sing this, consider what Dean shared today and thinking about those people in Europe, Russia, Ukraine, and everywhere else. And Jeff, you'll join us in the circle.
Oh, cool.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with love as our center, and we all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony.
Yeah, sounding good.
Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each one in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin
Dean will be in the library, Catherine will be in the side room, so stay around, don't leave just because we don't have food.